So, what if we could ask an AI to design the perfect human? I'm not just talking about fixing diseases. I mean optimizing everything, our looks, our intelligence, our abilities. Is this the blueprint for a better future? Or is it the beginning of the end for humanity as we know it? Because suddenly, evolution wouldn't be natural anymore. It would be by design. Let's really dig into where that path could lead us.
All right, first up, let's explore this really seductive, almost sci-fi idea of perfection. What actually happens when we take all of our own biases, feed them into a machine, and then ask it to show us the ideal human being?
Well, somebody actually did this. An experiment basically unleashed an AI on billions, and I mean billions, of social media images. It was trained on all of our collective engagement, the likes, the shares, the comments, to see if it could generate a picture of what our online culture thinks the perfect male and female bodies look like. And the results, they are pretty telling. What the AI spat out was shockingly narrow and, frankly, not very diverse. It showed this overwhelming preference for olive skin tones. For women, the ideal was blonde hair and brown eyes. For men, brown hair and brown eyes. And the male physique? Oh, it was almost universally some kind of hulking, supermuscular bodybuilder. It's really just a stark reflection of the algorithms we're all living inside of.
The Bulimia Project, which analyzed all this, put it perfectly. The images are eye-lingering, for sure, but they're also largely unrealistic. And that's the key, right? This isn't just some harmless experiment. It shows that even our most superficial attempts at designing perfection, once they're filtered through our technology, create these standards that are basically unachievable and kind of unsettling.
Okay, so we've seen a digital blueprint for physical perfection, one that's totally shaped by our online world. But what if we could move from that blueprint to biological reality? The technology to actually engineer a different kind of human? That's not just a fantasy anymore.
And that's the big question, isn't it? I mean, come on, ordering a designer baby from some catalog, that's definitely still in the realm of science fiction. But the tools to make it happen, they are developing at an absolutely breathtaking pace.
The reality is, AI and machine learning are already completely changing the game in genetics. Scientists are using these incredible computational tools to sort through the immense complexity of the human genome. It's giving us this unprecedented look at how we're built, right down to the last molecule.
And this brings us to a really critical idea: germline gene editing. Now, this is not about treating an illness in just one person. This is about rewriting the actual code in reproductive cells, the sperm, the egg, or an embryo. And that means any changes you make, for better or for worse, are inherited by every single generation that follows. We are talking about grabbing the controls of human evolution itself.
So where does AI fit in? Well, it's quickly becoming the co-pilot for gene editing technologies like CRISPR. AI algorithms can predict the best ways to edit a gene, while also forecasting and hopefully minimizing any unintended side effects. It just makes the whole process way more precise and way more powerful.
Okay, so you can probably see where this is going. The second you have the power to actually change the human blueprint, you ignite this profound ethical firestorm. And this whole conflict is pretty much defined by two major, opposing philosophical camps.
On one side, you've got the bioconservatives. They argue that we have to preserve human nature just as it is. They see life as a gift and warn us against the arrogance, the hubris, of trying to re-engineer it. But on the other side, you have the transhumanists. They see all of this as the next logical step in our evolution, using technology to overcome our biological limits and radically improve the human condition.
The transhumanist case is really compelling. They basically argue it's our moral imperative. If we have the tools not just to cure diseases, but to genuinely make people's lives better, to enhance intelligence, to grant more resilience, to even deepen our emotional well-being, then why on earth wouldn't we? To them, it's just a continuation of what medicine has always tried to do.
But the bioconservative comeback is just as profound. The philosopher Michael Sandel calls this drive for designer babies the ultimate expression of hubris. He warns that it marks this incredibly dangerous shift from accepting life as a gift to treating it like a commodity you can design and perfect. And that fundamentally changes our relationship with our own kids and with our own humanity.
So let's break down the bioconservative case, because the risks are pretty sobering. This could create a permanent genetic overclass, locking in inequality at a biological level. It could completely erode our appreciation for natural talents. Because hey, why celebrate an achievement when it can just be bought and programmed?
Ultimately, it could dissolve our shared humanity and become, in Sandel's words, the deepest form of disempowerment by forcing us to change ourselves to fit the world instead of the other way around.
But the debate doesn't stop at just making better humans. Some proponents of this tech take the argument to its most extreme and maybe its most logical conclusion.
See, once we start down this path of intelligent design, of treating our own biology like it's just another piece of tech that we can upgrade, well, the ultimate goal might not be what we think it is.
For some thinkers, this is the true endgame. The goal isn't just to upgrade humanity, but to pave the way for our successors, some kind of post-human, maybe machine-based intelligence that we ourselves create.
This quote from the roboticist Hans Moravec is chilling, but it perfectly captures this mindset. The idea is that you aren't your body. You are the pattern of information in your brain. And if that pattern can be uploaded to a more durable, more powerful home, then our biological bodies, the rest, are just disposable jelly.
And here is the absolutely terrifying paradox of that whole vision. If we actually succeed in creating a post-human intelligence, it would be so far beyond us that its motives would be completely alien. We might hope it would be kind, but its idea of goodness could be so advanced, so different from ours, that from our limited point of view, its actions could look exactly like pure evil.
Now, I know this all might feel like some distant, far-off future, but the scary part is the technology is rapidly outpacing our ethical conversations about it. The choices we make, or maybe more importantly, the ones we failed to make in the next few years are going to lay the foundation for whatever comes next.
So, let's just bring it back to what's truly at stake here. We are risking a catastrophic loss of human genetic diversity if we all start optimizing for the same ideal traits. We could create a permanent, biologically enforced class system. We might end up in a culture that devalues normal, human imperfection. And all of that could unravel the very solidarity that's built on our shared flaws and vulnerabilities.
So what do? Well, the consensus among ethicists and scientists is pretty clear. We urgently need to build strong ethical frameworks to guide this research. We need to have a sustained global public conversation about what kind of future we actually want to build. And we need some kind of adaptable global governance, because one country's decision on this will ultimately affect all of us.
And all of this leaves us with the final, and I think the most essential question. This drive for perfection has defined so much of human history. But if we finally achieve the power to manufacture it, to eliminate every flaw and conquer every limitation, what happens to the struggle, the happy accidents, and the shared imperfection that gives our lives meaning?